Incredible moment, poor girl breaks car window to save billionaire CEO's life during heart attack. Emma Rodriguez darted down the sun-soaked pavement, her mind racing with errands for the diner. The air was thick with summer heat, but her spirit burned with ambition. As the eldest daughter in her family, she carried the weight of their struggles since her dad lost his job. Every day spent serving coffee and pie at Charlie's Diner was a step toward a brighter future. But today, fate had something shocking in store for her. Suddenly, a sleek black car swerved dangerously, crashing against the curb with a jarring thud. Gasps of disbelief filled the air as a crowd gathered, drawn by the commotion. Emma froze for a moment, her heart pounding as she recognized the driver. It was Jack Harrison, the billionaire CEO known for his ruthless business practices. He had thrived while others suffered, and now here he was, gasping for breath, panic etched across his face. "Someone call 911. A woman shrieked, but Emma felt frozen, her instincts firing. In that instant, she couldn't look away from Jack's struggling figure. Time slowed, and her heart raced in sync with the chaos surrounding them. All she could see was a man in distress. Her upbringing, rooted in compassion and unity, urged her to act. Without thinking, she grabbed a stone from the ground, her hands trembling as she swung it toward the window of Jack's luxury car. The glass shattered with a sharp clang, sending shards flying. She yanked the door open and lunged forward, pulling him out just as his breaths grew faint. The crowd gasped collectively, her heart slamming against her ribs. In the sterile waiting room of the hospital, Emma paced back and forth, anxiety tightening her chest. Was she a hero? Or had she merely acted out of impulse? Saving a man who was often the face of the struggles her family endured was a bitter pill to swallow. The commotion subsided, leaving only the weight of her conflicting emotions. Jack began to stir, consciousness returning as reality hit him hard. He had been untouchable, but here lay the irony: facing death, relying on the care of someone he might have otherwise dismissed. Emma's feelings swirled. Would he see her as just another poor girl, someone beneath his notice? Or could this moment change everything? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days passed, and Emma visited Jack in his private hospital room. Vulnerability hung in the air, thick with tension. He wrestled with the realization that he, too, was human, flawed and scared. And through their conversations, the barriers began to crumble between them. She spoke of her family, aspirations, and dreams, igniting a spark in Jack that he hadn't felt for years. But just as the shadow of understanding began to settle, shocking revelations about Jack's past came to light. Decisions made at a distance that left lives in tatters. Emma stood torn between anger and empathy, the flicker of hope battling the storm within her. Could they forge a connection that transcended their differences? Or are their worlds too far apart, mired in the weight of their choices? The air thrummed with unanswered questions, sparking a whirlwind of possibilities as their paths collided in ways neither could have anticipated. Emma sat quietly in the corner of Jack's hospital room. The rhythmic beep of the monitor became a strange comfort to her, almost like a reminder that he was still here, still fighting. She wrapped her fingers around the warm cup of coffee, her thoughts racing. Jack was propped up against a mountain of pillows, his face pallid and drawn. It was hard to reconcile the confident mogul with the vulnerable man before her. She felt that familiar pang of anger rise again, gnawing at her insides. How could someone so far removed from the struggles of ordinary people suddenly require the help of someone like her? But then again, wasn't that why she had acted? To save a life. Jack's life, no matter how deeply she loathed the implications of his wealth. As days turned into a week, they exchanged more stories, bringing light into the starkness of the room. "Tell me about your family," Jack asked one afternoon, his voice still hoarse but tinged with curiosity. Emma hesitated. "My dad lost his job a few months back," she admitted, the words heavy on her tongue. "Things have been tough. But we're managing." Jack nodded, his expression turning thoughtful. "My father worked hard, too. I remember how much he struggled before he found his path. It felt wrong that they were connected, even just in this way." But Emma soon found that Jack's world was as complicated as hers. He spoke of the pressures of meeting expectations and the loneliness that came with power. As she listened, she saw glimpses of a tortured soul, a man who had made mistakes, but was seeking redemption, yet the more he revealed, the more the lines defining their differences blurred. She felt a squeeze in her heart, a spark of understanding. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once. "I know it's hard to see, but I am trying to change," Jack confessed one day, his gaze fixed on her. "There was a time when I didn't care about the consequences of my actions. After what you did for me, I realized I wanted to do better. Be better." Her response caught in her throat. The hurt he'd caused so many couldn't just disappear because of his newfound enlightenment. But deep down, she knew that sometimes it takes a wake-up call to save oneself. "Jack," she began, treading carefully, "it's not just about you being better. You need to understand the impact you've had on others. You can't just flip a switch." He opened his mouth to respond, but a knock on the door interrupted them. The moment hung in the air, electric with unspoken truths. A nurse entered, bright and busy, shuffling papers in her hands. "Mr. Harrison, we need to discuss your discharge plans." As the conversation shifted, both Emma and Jack sensed something monumental stirring beneath the surface. His journey to recovery would not merely be about physical healing but a deeper awakening to flip the script he had written for himself. When the nurse left, the room fell quiet again, but the tension felt different this time, charged with an urgency that neither could ignore. "Emma," Jack ventured, his voice low, "after I leave here, I want to continue this, whatever it is we have. I want to understand you, and my actions. Can we explore this?" Her heart raced. Was she ready to step into that unknown? Into a world where trust was a tender thread, as Emma considered his words, a knot twisted in her gut. A part of her hesitated. Could she truly forgive him for what he represented, or was her investment in this moment a mistake? With a deep breath, she replied, "Maybe. But this can't just be about you, Jack." And as the weight of their conversation settled over them, both knew that the real journey was only just beginning. What hidden parts of Jack's past would come to light now? Emma took a moment, the air thick with unspoken words. She noticed Jack's gaze linger on her, intense and hopeful. Her heart pounded, each beat echoing the uncertainty swirling inside her. Did she dare to step into that new territory? "I mean it, Emma," Jack said softly, his voice barely above a whisper, "I want to be better. I want to understand the struggles of people like you. I need to know how I can help." His sincerity struck her. There was something raw in his vulnerability, something human that transcended his previous persona. Yet, so many thoughts weighed heavily on her. She wanted to believe it, but distrust was a hard wall to break down. After a pause, she asked, "And what does that even mean? Changing? Helping?" It sounds great on the surface, but her voice faltered as frustration bubbled within her. "What happens when you go back to that world? To the board meetings and cocktail parties?" He shifted in the hospital bed, a pained look crossing his face. "I don't want to go back to that world without doing something meaningful. It's hollow, Emma." She wanted to throw her hands up and scream. Did he really think he could change everything overnight? This was a process, a journey, and she wasn't even sure she was ready to be part of it. But looking at him, the man lying in that bed, she knew he was serious. Maybe even desperate. "Okay," she said, finally. "We can talk after you leave here." But don't think it's just going to be easy. Jack nodded, his relief palpable. I can handle difficult. I've faced worse, he said, and for a brief minute, a flicker of his old bravado returned. But it faded quickly as he glanced down at the covers, lost in thought. The conversation shifted as they both leaned into the future. Jack began to reveal more about his company and the charitable projects he had considered but never executed. She listened intently, fascinated by his ideas that sparkled with genuine potential for impact. Our foundation could empower the community, he said, his eyes lighting up. We could provide scholarships, training programs, real change. Emma felt a surge of hope. Maybe this was the angle. If he used his wealth and power for good, it could reshape everything. But she couldn't ignore the battle within her. What's stopping you? She pressed, sensing a fire igniting in her own heart. If you really want to change, what's holding you back? Jack was silent for a moment, his brow furrowing. Fear, he finally admitted. Fear of failing again. Fear of not being enough. His vulnerability rattled her. She understood fear. It was familiar and ugly, yet grounding. They shared that in some way. What if there's a way to turn that fear into fuel? She suggested, her voice steadier than she felt. You know, to push you to step beyond what you've always known. Jack met her gaze, an electric current sparking between them. You're right. I need to confront that. In that moment, something shifted. Emma felt a wave of connection that left her breathless. It began as a shimmer of friendship and mutating slowly to something deeper, filled with possibilities yet tethered to uncertainty, but before she could unpack that notion, the door swung open again. A doctor entered, clipboard in hand, chips of formal business muffling the moment's warmth. As the doctor went through Jack's recovery plans, Emma stared intently at Jack. She wondered if he recognized the potential of what they had started. Their connection felt like a tightrope stretched above an uncertain abyss, daring them to walk it together. After the doctor left, Jack looked at Emma earnestly. I want to challenge myself. To make something of this opportunity. His voice was fierce now, igniting flames of excitement and fear in her gut. Will you be my advocate? This was at the moment that could change everything. It was both frightening and thrilling. Could she really step forward into this unknown? Jack, she began, her heart racing again, what if I can't be everything you need? Can I bear that weight? His eyes held hers, unwavering. You won't have to. It's not just about you, it's about us. The weight of their connection pressed tightly around her heart. There was no going back now. Emma took a deep, calming breath, ready to dive in, unsure of where this path would lead, and as she glanced at the window, a sudden thought struck her. What if this journey was bigger than either of them could imagine? What if they were on the brink of something truly transformative? With Jack out of the hospital in just a few days, would they both discover the strength to face their pasts together? The days rolled by quickly after that conversation in the hospital. Jack was finally out, and with each fleeting moment, Emma felt a mix of excitement and fear, a tightrope walk of emotions. She had promised to stand by him, but the weight of that promise loomed larger than she had anticipated. On the first day of his homecoming, Emma drove to Jack's upscale apartment, her heart fluttering with anticipation. The city skyline loomed ahead, a concrete jungle of opportunity. As she parked the car, her mind raced with thoughts of their next steps. This was no weekend project, it was a commitment, daunting yet full of promise. When she entered the building, Jack greeted her with a smile that instantly lit up her worries. He looked different, more vibrant, more determined. Ready for the big meeting? He asked, his tone playful but grounded. Meeting? She had forgotten that part. I thought we were just brainstorming. Emma's voice tapered off, uncertainty creeping in once more. Jack waved his hand dismissively. Just a small gathering to introduce some of my team to our vision. I need them on board if we're really going to make a change. She swallowed hard. This was turning serious, faster than she had ever imagined. Jack, what if they don't believe in you? What if they think you're just some rich guy trying to buy his way into a better image? Or they dismiss our ideas? He stepped closer, eyes gleaming with determination. That's why I need you. You're my grounding force. Besides, the stakes are high, and I can't do this alone. Taking a deep breath, Emma nodded. His reliance on her confidence sparked a fire within. Okay, let us do it, she said, heart pounding. She could be that advocate he needed. A smile crept across Jack's face, making her feel lighter. As they entered the sleek conference room, a group of well-dressed executives awaited them. The contrast of Jack's casual attire against their polished suits felt jarring, but he stood tall, confidence radiating off him. Emma settled into her chair, heart racing as Jack launched into his vision for the foundation. It was electric. Jack spoke passionately, his hands animated, and Emma saw the way the room shifted. The suit-clad colleagues began to nod, intrigued by the possibilities. She felt a warmth grow inside her as he spoke, sharing stories of real people in need, of education and empowerment, but there were hesitant glances, questions that echoed doubt. One executive, a sharply dressed woman, leaned forward. This sounds great, Jack, but how do you plan to fund these projects? Your reputation is on the line here. Jack paused, and for a brief moment, panic flickered across his face. Yet, before he could respond, Emma chimed in. He means it. We're both passionate about this. We've seen what community support can do, and with the right funding and commitment, we can make this happen. Their gazes locked, and she could see that her words bolstered him. She had just stepped into the spotlight beside him, and it felt right. The energy shifted, the room buzzed with possibilities. Questions turned into discussions, and ideas sparked like fireworks. They were creating a momentum, the beginnings of something bigger than both of them. When the meeting wrapped up, Jack turned to her, breathless. That was amazing. I couldn't have done that without you. Emma felt a surge of pride. Maybe they really could turn this vision into reality. But as excitement bubbled in her chest, uncertainty slinked back into her thoughts. What looks good on the surface can sometimes crumble beneath it all. We'll have to tread carefully. Jack nodded solemnly, understanding where she was coming from. We're still learning about ourselves, each other, and this whole new territory. It won't be easy. Just as she began to smile, her phone buzzed with an incoming message. As she glanced down, dread washed over her. The notification was from her sister, asking for help again. Emma, please, I don't know where else to turn. Emma's heart sank. It was a stark reminder that the past loomed large, threatening to unravel the progress she was trying to make. She bit her lip, feeling torn between helping her sister and supporting Jack. What's wrong? Jack's voice cut through her spiraling thoughts. She hesitated, grappling with the choice before her. Should she tell him? Should she bear her burdens openly, knowing they were stepping into an uncertain future together? It was a crossroad where the echo of her past met the promise of her future. And deep down, she sensed this was only the beginning of a complicated journey ahead. Jack, she said finally, a knot tightening in her chest, there's something I need to talk to you about. Something that could change everything. The atmosphere shifted when Emma finally spoke, her voice trembling slightly. Jack's expression softened as he took her hand, sensing the weight behind her words. What is it? He asked softly, concern etched across his features. Emma looked down, gathering her thoughts. The message from her sister was a jarring reality check, pulling her back to a world that felt 10 miles away from Jack's ambitious vision. It's my sister. She's struggling again. She feels lost, and I don't know how to help her. Jack's brow furrowed, a mixture of empathy and concern. Hasn't she been working on her own issues? Is it something new? Emma's heart clenched. It was a touchy subject, one she had tried to navigate delicately, but now it was back in the spotlight. She needs me. She texted me, saying she doesn't know where else to turn. I can't keep pushing her away, knowing she might fall apart. Jack squeezed her hand, a grounding presence in the chaos of her thoughts. You shouldn't have to choose. We can figure this out together. But Emma could see it written all over his face. He didn't fully grasp the complication. The truth was, helping her sister always came with a cost. It meant diving into a whirlwind of issues, dysfunction, and emotional baggage that Emma had been trying to escape. It could threaten her newfound connection with Jack, and she didn't want to tarnish his efforts when they finally seemed to be making headway. I don't want to detract from your plans. This is important for you, for both of us. I don't know how to balance it all. Emma, he said firmly. You have to take care of yourself first. If this is truly weighing on you, it's bound to affect our journey ahead. We can't head into this uncertain territory if you're carrying that burden alone. His words settled deep in her heart. The familiar tension between her commitments gnawed at her. The promise of a new life next to Jack felt so bright, yet her past shadowed every step she took toward it. Should I just drop everything to rush to her side? She asked, biting her lip, her gaze faltering. What if that derails everything we're building here? What if? The words echoed in her mind like a haunting refrain. Jack paused for a moment, a mixture of sadness and determination in his eyes. You have a right to be there for your family, he said quietly. But you also owe it to yourself to chase this dream. I want you here with me, but I don't want you to sacrifice your happiness. You deserve to live fully. Let us find a way to do both. His sincerity hit her like a wave crashing against the shore, invigorating yet overwhelming. She finally managed a small smile. You really believe that? His response came instantly, his voice steady. I do. You don't have to carry this alone. The weight of his words felt like a release, yet uncertainty still clung to her like a shroud. Emma stared at her phone again, the screen glowing in the dim light. I wish I knew how to balance it. Maybe I should go see her. Jack stood up, letting go of her hand. Then do it. Go be there for her. But don't think for a second that this is the end of us. We're part of this journey together, remember? There was an unshakable resolve in his voice, grounding her anxieties. As Emma nodded, resolve building in her chest, she realized that she had to face both her worlds head-on. The possibility of losing herself in the chaos of family wasn't a reason to pull back from what she had with Jack, it was a chance to grow. Yet, a lingering thought gnawed at her. How would she navigate that world without feeling like she was sacrificing the other? How much longer could her sister's turmoil hold sway over her life? The uncertainty and fear mingled with hope, and Emma's heart raced as she made her decision. All right, she said, gathering her courage. I'll talk to her, but I'll be back. We need to keep moving forward. Can we promise to keep our lines of communication open? Jack stepped closer, looking straight into her eyes. Always. As they locked eyes, Emma felt a connection that she didn't want to break. In that moment, she sensed exactly how intertwined their lives had become, and how they would have to navigate the tides together. But just as she felt a renewed sense of hope, another message pinged her phone. It was another alert from her sister, and the urgency of the words made her breath catch in her throat. Emma, I messed up again. I really need you now. Caught between the past and future, Emma knew she had a choice to make, one that could shake the very foundation they were trying to build. And deep down, she wondered just how strong that foundation could really be. Emma's heart raced as she read the message again. It hit her like a punch to the gut. Her sister was in trouble, and all the thoughts about balancing her own future felt hollow in the face of immediate family need. She glanced over at Jack, who was still watching her intently, trying to gauge her reaction. Emma? Jack's voice pulled her back. What does she want? Emma took a deep breath, trying to steady the swell of emotions inside. She just said she messed up again. I don't know what that means, but I can't ignore it. Jack's expression darkened slightly, a flicker of worry crossing his face. Do you need to call her? I think I have to. I can't just leave her hanging, Emma replied, her voice shaking. Okay. Just remember that you have to protect yourself too, he said, his eyes pleading with her to realize the weight of the situation. She nodded absently, her thumb hovering over the phone screen, hesitant. Could she bear to dive back into that chaos after she had made such strides away from it? Every word she typed felt like opening a door to uncertainty. Hey, I'm here for you, Jack reminded her softly, as if sensing her internal struggle. No matter what happens, we've got this together. Emma met his gaze, finding a wellspring of courage deep within those warm brown eyes. The connection between them felt like a lifeline she could cling to. She began to type, her thoughts pouring out in spurts. Hey. I'm here. What happened? She could almost feel the air thicken as she awaited her sister's reply. The seconds dragged on painfully. Jack moved a little closer, instinctively brushing his fingers against hers, grounding her. Finally, her phone vibrated again. Emma's heart plummeted as she read the response. I didn't mean to, but I drank too much again. I need you to come get me. Emma's stomach churned. The weight of her sister's careless decisions pressed on her, spilling over into her own life. In that moment, her dreams with Jack felt so fragile, like a candle in a storm. Tension climbed as she processed the implications. She suspected this was just the tip of the iceberg. These were the kind of emergencies that tended to spiral. I have to go. She's in a bad spot, and she's reached out to me, Emma said, panic creeping into her voice. A ride home, or a whole mess to untangle? Jack posed carefully, knowing the answer deep down. Emma swallowed hard, knowing he was right. It could be everything. You don't understand, it's not just a quick fix. It never is. Then you should go. I'll be here when you get back, Jack urged, but there was a shadow of concern in his eyes. The thought of leaving him sent a pang of regret through her, but she knew she had to do something, to try and pull her sister back from the edge. She hated the way it felt, but it was who she was, always trying to rescue others, even when she felt pulled apart. I'll call you the minute I can, she promised. I mean it. I don't want to close this door, not when I just found it. Good, Jack smiled softly, but they both knew this was a moment that could change everything. As she grabbed her jacket and raced out of the door, the cool air hit her like a slap, sending adrenaline coursing through her veins. She drove quickly, her sister's messy life ahead of her like an obstacle course, and all she could think about was how she managed to navigate her own desires amidst the wreckage of someone else's choices. Her phone lit up again, and she glanced down, a knot tightening in her chest as she saw another incoming message. Emma, you don't understand. It's serious this time. With every letter she read, fear tightened its grip, merging awkwardly with the remnants of hope she clung to. How serious could it possibly be? As she pulled onto the street where her sister was waiting, the gravity of what lay ahead slammed into her, and the question haunted her, what if she wasn't strong enough to save her sister this time? The rumbled thoughts lingered as she parked. And just like that, she stepped into the chaotic fray again, wondering whether she could find a way back to Jack before it was too late. She had to believe that within the chaos, she could still reach for a brighter future. Emma felt her heart pound in her chest as she stepped out of the car. The street was dimly lit by flickering streetlights, creating an unsettling atmosphere that matched the apprehension swirling inside her. She hurried toward the flashing lights of her sister's favorite bar, the one she had promised herself to avoid at all costs. Just a few steps closer, and the familiar sounds of laughter and clinking glasses mixed uneasily with her racing thoughts. Why again? She muttered to herself, feeling the weight of disappointment settle like a stone in her stomach. She had been so hopeful about her sister's recovery. But here they were, back at the start. With each block she paced, The echoes of wasted opportunities reverberated through her mind. As she reached the entrance, a loud cheer erupted from within, cutting through her turmoil. Emma pushed the door open, and the sudden rush of noise enveloped her. She scanned the room, searching for a glimpse of her sister. It didn't take long before she spotted her. Sarah was slumped over a table, her messy hair framing her face like a tornado had spun through. "Sarah!" Emma yelled, forcing her way through the crowd. The warmth of the bar felt out of place against the icy dread coiling around her heart. Her sister looked up, eyes bleary and unfocused. For a moment, confusion flashed across Sarah's expression, and then her gaze came alive with recognition. "Emma!" she exclaimed, slurring her words. "Help me, please." Tension knotting in her gut, Emma rushed to her side, gripping Sarah's arm. "What happened?" she demanded, trying to keep her voice steady. "You said you needed me." "I just wanted to have fun," Sarah mumbled, tears pooling as she battled against the waves of shame and guilt crashing in. "I thought I could handle it. I didn't mean to." "Handle what?" Emma pressed, fighting against the urge to shake some sense into her sister. "How serious is this? Did you drink again? This isn't a game." "I had a few," Sarah whispered, tilting her head in a way that made her look lost and small. "But then I got kicked out, they wouldn't let me stay, and I didn't know what to do." Emma's breath caught in her throat as she felt the familiar rush of anger combined with desperate concern. This was more than just alcohol, her sister was spiraling, and she felt helpless. Okay, we need to get out of here." Emma helped Sarah stand, wrapping an arm around her waist to steady her. The smell of alcohol lingered heavily around her sister, a scent that suffocated Emma's hope. "Lean on me." As they stumbled toward the door, Sarah mumbled incoherently. Emma tried to block out the noise in her head, questions, doubts, reminders of failure, but it all swirled into a maelstrom of despair. Once outside, the cold air hit them hard. Emma drew a deep breath, fighting to stay calm. She had to be strong for Sarah, for herself, for Jack. "We're going home," she said gently, feeling her resolve start to crack as the weight of her sister's choices crashed around her like waves against the shore. But just then, Sarah's phone buzzed against her thigh. She fished it out, her eyes widening in alarm. "Oh no! I can't deal with him right now." "Who?" Emma asked, cautious. "Jake. He found out I was here. I can't face him like this." Emma's pulse quickened again. The name echoed with danger. "Sarah, listen to me. You have to face this. You can't keep running away." "Please, Emma." Sarah looked so broken, so lost. Emma's heart shattered a little more. "I can't go back to him, not like this." As Emma stepped closer, unaware of the shadows creeping behind her, a familiar feeling washed over her. She was so tired of being the one to pick up the pieces. "You have to trust me. We can figure this out together." But as the tension hung thick in the air, she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something darker loomed just out of sight, and she was running out of chances to save her sister or possibly herself. Would facing the truth breathe new life into their relationship, or tear them apart forever? She looked at Sarah, her breath hitching as the storm of emotions raged inside her. She had to choose fight or flee. But as she wrestled with uncertainty, the night unfolding before them promised consequences neither sister could foresee. Emma felt herself teeter on the edge of a decision that could steer everything either way. She pulled Sarah a little closer, wishing she could shield her from whatever was waiting in the shadows. "We need to talk about this. Just the two of us," she urged. Sarah shook her head slowly, the dim streetlight casting long shadows that mirrored her feelings of despair. "No, not like this. I can't even right now." Her voice broke, and Emma could see the cracks forming in the fragile wall her sister had built around her heart. Please, just give me a second, Emma pleaded, her own heart crashing against her ribs. The fight within her began to flicker, battling the exhaustion that swirled in tandem with worry. The weight of everything they had been through crashed over her, each moment a testament to the struggle both sisters faced. I just wanted to feel normal, Emma, Sarah whispered. I thought I could have a life like everyone else. But it's too hard. The ache in Emma's chest deepened. Normal? She echoed, trying to understand the pain behind those words. What is normal when you're hiding from everything? You're stronger than this. Suddenly, there was a loud shout from the bar behind them, breaking through their moment. Emma turned instinctively, scanning the crowd that had spilled onto the street. Was Jake here? Without another word, Sarah buried her face into Emma's shoulder, trembling as if she could physically hide from the chaos that had crept back into their lives. Emma's resolve solidified. She wasn't going down without a fight this time. Let us get out of here, Emma said, urging Sarah to take a step back from the memories that threatened to swallow them whole. We can go to my place. It'll be okay. But Sarah stiffened. No. I can't go home. Not yet. Not with him looking for me. Panic washed over her features, turning her fear into a palpable energy that made Emma's heart race. Sarah, you have to face him. Running away won't solve anything. Emma's desperation filled the air between them, thick and heavy. How could she get through to her sister without drowning in the heaviness of it all? In that moment, Sarah looked up, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and defiance. You don't know what he is capable of. You don't understand. Her voice trailed off, and for a second, Emma could see the flicker of strength in her sister's gaze, a momentary glimpse of the person she used to be. Then tell me, Emma pressed. Tell me what happened. Maybe I can help you fight back. Before Sarah could respond, a familiar figure emerged from the shadows at the end of the street. Jake. His silhouette seemed to swallow the light behind him, matching the darkness emanating from Sarah's heart. Sarah. There you are. His voice called out, smooth yet tainted with a threatening undercurrent. Emma instinctively tightened her grip on her sister, shielding her from the oncoming storm. Run. Emma urged, terror gripping her words. We'll find a safe place. Just stick together. No, I can't leave. Sarah's voice cracked with desperation. What if he gets hurt? In that moment, Emma's gut twisted. They could either step into the light of confrontation or retreat into the shadows of fear. But with Jake closing the distance, Emma could feel the air shatter with tension, and the final strands of patience began to fray. Sarah, you can't protect him any longer. Protect yourself. Emma practically shouted, her heart racing. The raw truth hung heavily between them, both knowing that either choice could lead to a resolution or a disaster, and just as Jake reached the edge of the light, Emma made her choice, one she hoped would change everything. But the question still lingered, would this choice save them, or tear their already fragile bond apart forever? In that split second, Emma felt the world narrow around her. She could see Jake's smirk cutting through the darkness, a predator feeling the thrill of the chase. But here stood Sarah, fragile and scared, her heart delicately swaying between the weight of their past and the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Let us just talk to him, Emma said, her voice trembling yet firm. We can reason with him. Maybe he'll listen. Sarah looked up, fear etched in her features. Emma, you don't know how he is. He doesn't listen. He controls everything. Emma took a breath, steadying herself as she looked at her sister. She saw the fatigue in Sarah's eyes, the resignation that made her feel like they were losing a battle before it even began. Then let him see you standing strong. Not afraid. Sarah pulled back slightly, as if Emma's words could light a fire within her. But it faded as the reality of Jake's presence loomed closer. The tension swirled around them like smoke, choking the air they breathed. Why are you hiding, Sarah? Jake called out, his voice dripping with false concern. "I just want to talk." "Don't listen to him, Sarah," Emma urged, urgency clawing at her throat. "He's a liar. You know that." As the distance closed, Emma's heart raced. Every instinct told her to pull Sarah inside, shield her from the guy who had brought so much pain. But every second wasted felt like a ticking bomb. "Stay behind me," Emma whispered fiercely, positioning herself as a barrier between her sister and Jake's looming figure. "Are you really going to protect her?" Jake laughed, stepping into the flickering light, the flare illuminating his smug face. "You have no idea what you're getting into. She's not safe with you." "Watch it," Emma shot back, anger surging like a volcanic eruption within her. "You're the only danger here." For a moment, silence suffocated the air. Emma could feel a mix of dread and adrenaline. Would she stand firm against this man who represented fear incarnate? Or would she falter, losing Sarah all over again? "I'm done being scared of you," Sarah finally spoke, her voice steadier than it had been moments ago. Emma glanced at her sister, surprised by the glimmer of defiance shining through. But Jake's eyes darkened. "You want to play tough? You don't know what I'm capable of." "Enough!" Emma shouted, her emotions erupting. "This isn't about you. It's about her taking back her life." The world around them felt charged, electrified and fragile. Sarah edged a little closer, feeling the power of Emma's resolve. Could they really stand together against him? Emma longed to believe in that tense moment, the air crackled with possibility. Their eyes met, and Emma found herself willing Sarah to take that leap of faith. But just then, Jake took a step forward, a predator cornering its prey. "Don't," Emma warned, her voice a low growl, but Jake just grinned, too confident. "Or what? You think you can stop me? You're just a girl playing hero." As he raised his hand, Emma's heart dropped, instinct screaming at her to protect Sarah at all costs. "Get back!" she cried, stepping in front of her sister, ready to face the fallout. Then, in the chaos, a sound shattered the tension, a loud crash as a nearby car window shattered, capturing everyone's attention. Emma spun at the noise, her grip tightening on Sarah's arm. "Look!" someone shouted from the crowd. Emma didn't want to, but instinctively, she turned her head. In that moment, her heart sank even further. The bar was filled with chaos, people pointing and gasping. It was as if everything was happening at once, spiraling out of control. Yet, amidst the turmoil, Emma felt something shift within her. She realized they were no longer just battling Jake, they were fighting for their very lives. But as she turned back to face the threat, a sense of grim determination settled in her chest. Whatever happened next would either break them or bring them together. "Together?" she whispered to Sarah. The question hung in the air like a lifeline thrown amid a storm. Sarah nodded, her resolve building in tandem with Emma's. And just then, a chilling realization struck Emma. Some choices could lead to consequences they never saw coming. But they had no choice but to find out how deep the rabbit hole went, especially with everything at stake. Would they find their strength together, or would they be pulled back into the suffocating shadows? As the chaos unfolded around them, Emma's determination and recognition of their fight crystallized like ice in her veins. She locked eyes with Sarah, and in that moment, the tentative threads binding them together transformed into a solid rope of resolve. They would stand firm against Jake, the crowd murmured, drawn in like moths to a flame. Jake's imposing figure loomed closer, his smirk taunting. But Emma felt solid ground beneath her feet, strength rising from deep within. "We're not afraid of you anymore," she declared, her voice steady and loud enough for everyone to hear. "Is that right?" Jake sneered, though his bravado wavered. The crowd focused in, intrigued and anxious, igniting a flicker of hope for Emma. "I've seen the way you manipulate people, and I refuse to let you do it to Sarah any longer," she hissed, fury propelling her. Beside her, Sarah shifted slightly, her chin lifting in a small act of defiance. It was a start, a heartbeat pulsing with new courage. "Not everyone can be scared off so easily," Sarah spoke, the strength in her voice surprising them both. "I'm done living in your shadow." Emma felt a swell of pride, a tangible shift in the air surrounding their unity. The tide had turned, and with it, the crowd began to murmur words of support. Someone shouted, "You go, girl." As whispers of affirmation echoed through the night, Jake's confidence flickered as the crowd began to push back against him. "You think you can just stand together against me? You'll regret this." His voice dripped with venom, but underneath, there was unmistakable doubt now. "We're not scared of you," Emma repeated, taking a step forward. "This ends now." Every word was etched with the weight of their shared struggles, each word a boundary they refused to let anyone cross again. Suddenly, a group of onlookers closed in, most with their phones at the ready, documenting the event. The atmosphere thickened with anticipation. The crowd's energy changed from apprehensive to emboldened, and it seemed they decided to stand with Emma and Sarah, new allies rising against an old foe. "Leave her alone," someone shouted from the back, swiftly turning the tide against Jake. Emma felt the energy shift, a tangible wave of support rolling their way. It filled her with a fierce sense of purpose. They weren't alone in this fight anymore. Jake looked overwhelmed, his bravado slipping away as he realized he might be outnumbered. "This one end here," he hissed, backed into the corner of the mob. But crumbling under the pressure, he retreated into the night, leaving behind the fractured remnants of a past he could no longer control. As his figure disappeared into darkness, Emma whipped around to face Sarah, adrenaline still coursing through their veins. "Did we just do that?" she gasped, disbelief mingling with exhilaration washing over her. A laugh bubbled from Sarah's lips, bright and freed. "I think we did." We stood up. Tears streamed down her cheeks, this time for joy and release. "I've never felt anything like that." "You held strong, Sarah. You found your voice." Emma hugged her tightly, holding on to the moment they both desperately needed. As the crowd began to disperse, murmurs of support echoed in their ears. "We've got each other, sis," Emma said with unwavering conviction, her heart singing with renewed hope. The air felt different, lighter, as if the weight of the past finally began to lift. This night had revealed fractures but also pathways they did not seen before. Facing fear had fortified them, binding them as sisters ready to dive deeper into the unknown together. But the question of Jack lingered in the back of Emma's mind. Would he still be waiting for her? Would there still be a chance for them to forge a brighter future together after facing the shadows of their pasts? As they made their way back to the car, Sarah looked sideways at her. "What now?" Emma smiled, wiping her tears. "We go home. We figure this out together, and I promise, we take the next step toward the future we both want." And as they drove away from the chaos, Emma felt emboldened, not just for herself but for Sarah, surrounded by a newfound warmth. Unwavering love, courage, and the realization that they could conquer their battles together felt like emerging into dawn after the darkest night, only this time, with her sister beside her, the journey ahead appeared illuminated, full of possibilities. They were ready for whatever came next, they were fighting for their lives together. In that moment, everything she had fought for crystallized: family, redemption, aspiration. They were stepping into the unknown with a fierce sense of hope, ready to reshape the story they lived. Don't wait not even one more second. If you enjoyed this thrilling transformation of Emma and Sarah, then subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't miss our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show some love. Comment your reactions and feelings about this epic ending because I want to hear from you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans know how important it is to uplift each other.